comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I've spent the best part of the last 2 months just going on deep dives, left, right, and center over everything. Vietnam, Israel, Palestine. I've been listening to Chomsky. I reckon I've listened to about 200 hours of Chomsky now. Norman Finkelstein, Chris Hedges, Jeffrey Sachs, I'm just deep diving everywhere. And the more informed I get on any given subject, it's almost like the less of an opinion I can make, because now I'm understanding, because when you listen to a guy like Chomsky or Norman Finkelstein or fucking Murray Rothbard, all Jews by the way, these guys don't open their mouth to say something unless they know everything. You know what I mean? If they want to make a point on something, they need to know everything fucking around it. What connected to this a million years ago, and they need to know so much about any given subject, because those guys in particular are running against narratives. They're running against the machine. So to argue against the machine, you need to know more. So every time I get closer to thinking I have an opinion on something, I'll listen to something or I'll read something and I'll be like, I couldn't have argued that. If I was in that situation, I couldn't have argued that point. I would have got fucking hammered. So I'm like, I still need to shut my mouth and I still need to educate myself, which means unless you've researched something, you shouldn't have an opinion. And it's actually even deeper than that. After just deep diving everything over the last 2 months, I've come to the conclusion that anything that's in my head that I have an opinion about, that I haven't researched or thought about or fucking looked into even slightly, if I have an opinion on that thing, it could be anything, it doesn't matter, I now assume that that has been put into my head through some sort of fucking propaganda. Somewhere, someone along the way has wanted me to think in a certain way about a certain thing, and it's become my opinion that is grounded in absolutely fucking nothing. So I'm seeing it in myself. I'm seeing I thought that, but that had no grounding in anything because I hadn't looked into it and I don't know anything about it. But I'm starting to get close to having opinions, and I think I'll be expressing them. Another thing, just quickly, another thing I've noticed over the last couple of months, just fucking diving deep, is especially listening to fucking Chomsky so much, all my ideas and all my core moral values pretty much line up with Noam Chomsky now, which essentially would make me a hardcore leftist. But this is what I think has happened, because that old left, that Noam Chomsky, Chris Hedges left, it's brilliant. Those guys are unbelievable intellectuals. They're consistent. They know just about everything. They're courageous. They're moral. They're good. That type of left is dangerous to the powers that be, to the oligarchy, to the corporations, to fucking the war hawks, to all these cunts. So I'm starting to get the feeling that the left was hijacked by, I don't know, nefarious actors that made it so fucking absurd with the identity politics and all that sort of shit that it obfuscated what the left really was, which is the Noam Chomsky anti-war sort of shit. Anti-corporations, anti-power, anti-tyranny, anti-fascism, that sort of stuff. And they replaced it with trans horse shit, gender politics, all that sort of stuff, which is divisive stuff. This isn't set in stone. I don't know where it intersects that fucking Chomsky left and this other bullshit left. But the feel I get is the real left was hijacked because they were very dangerous to the powers that be, and they were replaced with this absurd left, this ultra woke fucking horseshit left that doesn't really represent the values of left-leaning people at all. And so the real left, which I agree with most of the shit. Like, you listen to Chomsky, if he says anything you don't agree with, please send it to me. I don't think the cunt's been wrong in 60 years. I don't think he even opens his mouth if he even thinks there's a potentiality that he is wrong. I think if he thinks he might be wrong, if there's even a 1% chance, he just doesn't say it. So everything he says is so fucking bang on that it's crazy. And like, especially in the US, the corporations and the military industrial complex have fucking hijacked the Democratic Party, which usually represented the left. So that's written off now. So there's really no place for your traditional fucking lefty. This is why I'm starting to think I may have spent like the last 10 years in about 5 layers of just propaganda, and I'm not too sure which one's at the bottom. It's very concerning. It's very fucking concerning. This is how much I'm in line with Chomsky, with everything he says. I've never really had much of a opinion on climate change. For the most part, I thought it was complete horseshit. Just some fucking thing that the governments could use to gouge the people. Although I would go to India and I'd be like, there's definitely a problem here. Anyway, I'm starting to believe my my opinion that had no base in anything was just propaganda placed in my head. So I didn't really have a proper opinion. Someone just put it in there for me, because I've never looked into it. But my values line up so, like, perfectly with Noam Chomsky. And Chomsky says the two biggest threats to civilization or humanity are nuclear war and climate change. And as soon as he said that, I was like, maybe climate change is a thing. I've spent the last 10 years just calling bullshit on it. And then I look into my heart and I'm like, have you done even the slightest? Just have you Googled climate change once in the life? Have you ever Googled climate change? Have you ever looked into it? And the answer is no. The answer is fucking zero. But I'm passionately opposed to climate change for some reason. Was it the oil companies that planted that idea in my head? I don't fucking know, but it was in my head. And now I have to wipe it out because I love Chomsky so much. And yes, I'll say Noam Chomsky sometimes, and I'll say Noam Chomsky. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, I'm going to go back to my deep diving so I can come back, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have an opinion. And the other reason I haven't given too many opinions is because I'm so fucking tired after work. By the time it gets to podcast time, I'm like, I can't fucking articulate an opinion. So I'm like, I'll wait till I have a few days off in a row and then I'll start the opinions rolling. Anyway, that'll fucking do for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and I'll see you the fuck later.